Hey guys, here we are for the 2nd of August, and I am exhausted. I've been moving all night, and let's make a quick shave. And so for me, a lot of times, a good way to do that is with the slurry lather. So let's just do it and do it quickly. Use number 577 today. Same stuff we used last time. We've got the soap, Midnight Stag from Chiseled Face, Taj handle, Semogue brush. It's called the Semogue Owners Club. The cologne and splash are also Midnight Stag. The razor is the Timeless Open Comb 68 gap stainless steel, and it does have the Nacet still in it from yesterday's shave. As you can see, I gapped it a little bit so that it would have some good airflow there and not have water standing on the razor blade. Nice shave yesterday. Now, if you're not familiar with the slurry lather, I believe it was my friend Okie Dokie Cool who said, hey, you gonna do a slurry lather this month? Well, no reason not to do it. This is what I think is kind of an intuitive way of shaving, where even if you don't study anything, it stands to reason that you might try this particular method in the course of you working on stuff. And I think it is a very quick method usually, and I think it's pretty easy for other people to grasp. It's not complicated. I'll talk a lot of words about it, but that's me trying to kind of explain it. So let's just jump right in. The main point is, let's contrast it with, I said just jump right in, but I misspoke. Let's talk about it for just a second longer. When we are taking a soap and load, face latherer, load, get lots of concentrate on the wet brush, start that on your face, very pasty. Now you start integrating water. Let's drip some on the brush. Keep going, drip some on the brush. Keep going till finally it starts to look. Now, when in my case it starts to fly off because I like a really wet lather and that kind of stuff doesn't stay on your face very much. Then that first pass, you rinse off all that concentrate, and then sometimes it's hard to have enough lather in your brush for that third pass. You know, that sort of thing. That's a typical face lathering scenario that a lot of guys but it's simple. It's a lot of guys just stick with it, even though it's got its weaknesses. But you're starting with all that concentrate on your face. Let's invert it. We're going to start with all that water. Brush, lots of water. We're going to load. Doesn't take very much loading time. Bore brushes are great for it because bore brushes hold a lot of water. That's a characteristic that makes the slurry lather work really well if the brush holds a lot of water. So let us, the razor's tight. Let me get some water on my face. One of the keys to this method is that you come at the soap with a very wet brush. That is quite wet. Let's go ahead and shake it just a bit. Okay. Get a little bit of, if it's too wet, then it just drips right when you touch it to your face and everything kind of washes. So, I mean, you do need to let go of some of the water. Okay. Just 15 swirls. And I've got some, I do use the bowl just as a reservoir. I'm letting that extra slurry kind of drip down into the bowl because it can be used later. Okay, and then I'm going to use the bowl almost like a catch for what's dripping right now. I'm just going to lightly, see, already a little froth starts to come. Now, maybe 15 swirls is not enough to get enough, but it might be. Who knows? Let's just see what happens. You want to keep it wet. You don't want to press too hard. You don't want all that wetness to come out of the brush. But look, we've got that light Very often it's translucent, but we've got a light layer of it's not a lather yet because it's not homogenized. What I think has happened is that the soap was on the tip of the brush, water was behind it. As you laid down the soap on your skin, that water came in and started mixing, and let's start to develop a lather. But now we're going to do this pass way before the lather gets developed. Turns out this froth is very slick. The pro of this method is that it is quick. That does mean that you will not get to enjoy your brush maybe as much as you might want to. So if you've got a nice luxury brush, then maybe you're not going to use this method too much. But if you're in a hurry a lot, or you're just a practical shaver, don't have a lot of time in the morning or whenever you need to shave, and there we go. We are going to give it a splash of water, but we're not going to try to rinse out any of that lather that may still be left on the face. We'll go to it a little bit more here, and look at that. Kind of the same thing as building, so that tells me, because it's not maturing into a better lather, that I probably, at this point, the soap wasn't wet enough from previous days to give up its lather quite as quickly as it will later on. And so I will probably have to dip back into that soap. And that's one of the things I like about the slurry method, is if you do what I did just now, you didn't load for long enough, then all you do is go back to the tub for a little bit, because after all, remember, we're not putting a mature lather together. And there we go, that's the second pass. And so it's not like the traditional face lathering. Get a little splash of water. Where if you haven't loaded enough soap, then you kind of have to start over again. Go back for maybe another 10 swirls. See, I don't have to remix anything because I never got to that lather stage in the first place. And look at that, ready to go. Now, once you do it enough and you learn how many times you should swirl, and it's going to vary depending on the brush, the soap, that kind of thing, but you know, you'll figure it out. Usually by the time you hit that third pass, you've done enough mixing with the lather to where it is a nice mature lather at that point. And as you can see, these passes just don't have to take very long. Yeah, and see, I think one of the best ways to tell how you're doing is to, that pass right there, I felt a lot more of the slickness. The first two rinses that I did before, it wasn't quite there yet. And that's that, along with the visual cue that on that second time I was loading my face up there, it was still like the first one. It hadn't matured more. You know, it should step up each time you do it, because you're agitating the lather, and so it should the lather should get more solid as you go. If you do need to sprinkle on a little bit of water, you can. I'm going to do that, just a few drops. And the whole point is that, and the lather starts with a whole lot of water in it, and it never really gets to a dry stage, and so you just always have this slick lather that's helping you out. And now you've got a mature lather here in the brush, and what you can probably see on my face is a nice mature lather by this third or fourth pass, whatever we're on. If you do use a blade many times, trying to get a lot of uses out of it before you have to throw it away, don't change your pressure. Don't increase your pressure because you're trying to cut more hairs. Work on having the right angle. If you need to find maybe a more aggressive razor, then I've definitely done that. And what that helps you do is it keeps your technique intact, and you can switch back and forth between brand new blades versus old blades, and your technique is strong in both scenarios. You're not going to cut yourself. If you alter your technique to add more force to try to get a better cut with an older blade, then you switch and put on a newer one. Your muscle memory still has that old amount of force, and you end up really cutting yourself and or giving yourself some razor rash, and we don't want that. This will be my last pass. So I could have loaded for longer. I think it ended up to be about 25 swirls by the time everything is said and done. And that's still given me enough lather. I haven't had to go back and get more. And then you've got this bonus amazing lather right there that's in the knot. And so for this last pass, I could definitely get all luxurious and bring that guy to the table. Right, and that is just amazing. That's good lather right there. And so that is the slurry method. I didn't know quite what to name it. Slurry seemed like it would work well as a descriptive term because we're shaving with a slurry instead of making the lather at the front of the shave. The lather comes together by the end of the shave, but you might even, if you do it quickly and you've got everything mixed together the right way, you could, and I've done this before, I could get 3 passes done by the time before the lather even came together. And so maybe I'd do a 4th one just to have that luxurious lather be a part of the shave. But like I said, this is a method that's suited for faster shavers. There's no building that lather in the beginning. And look, we're at 13 minutes here. It's fast. And that's with me commentating. You know, I think I did it in 3 minutes or less. I did 3 passes, 3 minutes or less with the slurry lather method. And I wasn't even trying really hard to be fast. All right, it looks like maybe we didn't get me putting on the spray. I already did it once, but let's do it again just to be on video. I think I hit the button, but I didn't realize that I didn't hit it quite well enough. And maybe you didn't see me tell you about the tips now. I have just given it a couple of minutes of hairdryer treatment. And keeping it at about this distance for the most part, shooting it across the tips, high temperature but low speed, pulling it through every once in a while to get rid of the clumps, rotating, that sort of thing, but stopping before the tips got crispy. We don't want to take it that far because we want a nice long life bore brush right here. Look how big that bloom is. That's just what you get with the Semogue Owners Club. It's just that big. All right, we did not add, we just add a little sprinkle to the brush today in the slurry lather method. We could add more next time if we felt like it, but mainly just increase the load time just a little bit would also be good. And that's it. I rinsed out the razor, set it aside. Time to go to bed. I'm super tired. Thank you so much for joining me for today. Day 2 of the Stag Challenge of the Austere August 2025. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.